can edit it all in post-production, so you can call people rude names if you want, and I should be able to edit that out, and it should be just fine. Cool. So, Joe, I started a podcast because I wanted to talk to nerdy people about their nerdy habits, and initially what comes to mind is like video games, like Warhammer and StarCraft and that sort of stuff. But then, of course, as an adult, one starts to appreciate that there's other things that other people are really interested in, and I'm always interested in the things that people are interested in. So, tell me, my friend, what does it mean to be a drag queen?
You're doing your job properly if when you're in makeup, your phone can't recognize you. When people think of drag, they think of RuPaul, which Ru is the most famous drag queen, and for good reason. When you look at local drag, there are different, what we call pageant systems, but we also have what's called, or I call it stage drag, where it's just queens meeting up, performing, having fun, shooting the shit, so to speak, which I've gotten to meet so many fabulous individuals. In fact, I got 3 bookings as of yesterday. I have 3 bookings this week and then next month.
What's a booking? Help me out. Pretend I don't know anything about drag, and you won't be too far from the truth.
So a booking is any time you're asked to perform. There are 2 types. There's what's called a tip spot, and then a booking. A tip spot is normally reserved for newer queens. So say you just started within a month to 2 months. You can ask a show director and say, hey, I'm not prepared to do like a major show, so like a Friday through Sunday show, but hey, just let me perform, and instead of paying me, I'll take whatever tips that I make. Most shows you will make 25 to around 75 in tips, depending on the night. Like for me, I do Thursday nights. Where I'm from is called Rising Stars, where you have 2 queens that have been in the business for a long time, and us newer queens come do a tip spot and perform for them. Now, what's special with Rising Stars is you get critiqued on stage. So we have one...
That sounds really savage.
Oh, it is. There are times that you will be on stage, and so Tiana runs our show. She's been performing for 25 years, and she's a trans woman. She's one of the strongest people that I know. In fact, she's a drag mother to me and to all of us. So there are times that she will be nice, but depending on how much she has in her, she will read you to filth. I've literally seen somebody get up on stage in nothing but scrubs and get read straight up, like read to filth. Doesn't happen too often.
What's the phrase? Read to filth?
So basically, when you are read to filth, what that means is a read's not a good thing. A read is basically you could have fixed something very easily, such as your hair. A lot of the time, queens and kings will pick on, oh, I don't like this feature. Like, some queens have their brows up to here. I can't do that. I look like an alien. But I've been told by several queens, oh, you should do that. You should move your brows up. I have hooded eyes. And actually, I tried that twice. And both times Tiana was like, you look like an alien. Don't ever do it again.
Coaching and feedback, it's just... Because of the environment, it feels a bit more savage.
Correct. It reads basically they're giving you feedback, but they're doing it malevolently, where they don't care about your feelings. I have a couple.
Well, if you want to get better, you can't let your feelings get too involved. The feeling should be, I feel good because I'm better now than I was when I began.
Exactly.
It's just can be a bit hard in real time to get the feedback. When you've worked really hard and someone's like, yeah, you done fucked that up.
But the problem with newer queens and kings, at least where I'm from, they don't want to learn. They want to perform, but when they're told something to improve on, because I've even been told by several high-level pageant queens, when you perform, that's how you get your name out there, to be booked in shows. And sometimes you have Miss Missouri in the building. You have Tabby Cat, who's a former Miss Missouri and Miss US of A, and I'll get into those. But they come in and they watch you, and if they see you do the same song or do the same outfit, like for me, I have a room full of outfits, full of drag. It's a interesting dynamic when you, like, my husband will go in and be like, what the heck? Because I've got heels in one side, I've got dresses in the other, and then I got hair in the other. And
that is one sort of interesting thing. Now that I've done a couple of these episodes and had a lot of conversations with people, the stuff that people are really interested in, there is just a room in their home that's dominated by it, which it's almost surprising to people, because we need a kitchen, that's where the food goes, and maybe we have a dining room if there's enough space, and a bedroom and a living room, maybe like a study or like a home office, and that's what's in our brains. But everyone will actually make a room for the thing they're interested in. Board games, drag queens.
oh yeah,
There'll be many others. Like there's just, like it used to be a shed, right? What's the shed? It's actually a room that I built just to keep my tools in, because I like to build stuff and fix tractors. And now it's like, well, now I need it for my hair and my heels. I need the space.
well, and it's actually kind of funny because who we live with. So I live with my husband and roommate, and our roommate is older. He's pretty much a father figure to both of us. And he'll walk by and he'll just be like, what the hell? Which actually, one thing I did want to touch on with drag, because I think I mentioned this to you prior, there's not just drag queens. When people think of drag, they think of drag queens, where you have the makeup, you have the heels, you have the nails. A key form of drag, like RuPaul always says, you're born and the rest is drag. We have what are called drag kings, which are male presenting entertainers, depending on who you ask. Not everybody will say male presenting. Some of them will say female to male. I know both. In fact, Dan James, who's the third Mr. Gay Missouri America, he actually fought for drag rights. So they're still trying to restrict drag shows. There's about
From like a performance perspective, like we think it's unsavory for people to dress in clothes that we don't associate with their gender, so they shouldn't be allowed to perform.
Well, so they claim that we're corrupting the youth, and protect the children. Well, here's the reality.
We'll circle back to that, because drag's been around for quite a long time.
Exactly.
Like, talk about corrupting the youth. It was, what, our great-grandparents' generation that...
Before that.
If not longer, right? Like, it's not like...
So,
we'll come back to it. Finish your thought.
With that, actually, in St. Louis, there's what's called anti-masquerading laws. There's a queen named Michelle McCausland. Unfortunately, she passed away right before I came on the scene. She was known as one of the main reasons that we still have drag in the city, and that's because she fought for it. In I think it was 1980, 1983, back when the bars had a alarm on them, because there was still at that time an ability for them to raid us. Michelle was arrested with I think 2 or 3 other drag queens and spent the night in jail. And I think over the next decade, she kept on fighting to get the anti-masquerading laws overturned and finally succeeded. unfortunately, she passed away in 2020 due to COVID-19. What's interesting is people don't always know the history behind drag. They see the entertainers, they get to know the entertainers, but they don't always get to know the family perspective. And what I mean is like the drag family. You have your normal family, like we all have, a mom, a dad, siblings, who are a pain in the butt sometimes. When you're in drag, you have what we call your drag family. And back in the day, it was called houses, depending on which culture you were part of. So in the African American scene, you had what's called the ballroom culture, which I don't know too much about, because it's not, I don't have much experience with it. I have friends and TTs who are part of it. Like one of my TTs, Ariana Valentino, who is a white queen, the only white queen in St. Louis to ever walk on the ballroom floor. And walking on the floor is reserved for somebody that is in a house. Like I would never be allowed to walk on a ballroom floor. But
can you join or be invited to a house?
You
can you earn your way into a house?
So yes. So in every house, and even in every family in white drag culture, you have to earn your name. So in a house, it would be a mother will come to you and say, "Hey, I see you. I want you to join." Most of the time, that takes a lot of time. So, like for Ariana, she's the head of the Valentino household. So under her, she has her kids. Now, like for me, I am head of the house of Chanel. So my full name is Angel Chanel Michael Sedique. The Michaels and Sedique were two houses that I was claimed by. Sweet Pea Willow Michaels and then Kyra Nicole Sedique, who are both from North Carolina. When you're claimed, it's a major deal. Because when you first start, like Angel Chanel was my original name. But then when I was claimed, Queens looked at that and went, okay, you're part of a house now. You're more professional. Now, there's a running joke with me because I'm related to almost every house in St. Louis. And when I say almost every, I'm like not even joking you, almost every. Some of the queens, Venus DM, who's one of my good Judies, started the running joke of, oh, you're going to try to collect them all. Well, and that's the fun with being queens too, is we have the banter. Like we perform once, twice, 3 times a week together. Well, and have you personally met queens?
Very, very briefly, as far as when they're, excuse my lack of vocabulary, in drag, presenting as queens. I'm sure I've met plenty of people that are queens, but we're just at work, and so it's just, hey, how are you? And you don't know anything about what they get up to outside of work. Or if they come in to, when I worked in retail and that sort of thing, you wouldn't know. I did used to have a couple of chaps who were just gentlemen who like to dress up in women's clothes. I think for them it was it was just trans, really, is all it was. They were just men. They identified as men. Trans is the wrong word for this day and age. What we would have called transvestites. I don't know if that's the correct term anymore. They were men that just identified as men, but they enjoyed dressing up in women's clothes. But to my mind, that's not anything to do with drag, where drag has a level of sort of celebratory production about the whole thing. It's why even people that, if you were being really rigid, you'd say, oh, it's a very sort of gay and lesbian kind of thing, or we don't like it, protect the kids, bring your pitchforks and torches, where actually drag shows are famous around the world because they are so much fun that anyone can go and enjoy. So I don't particularly know any queens. I have worked with some. Never had the chance to really sit down and chat about it though, and what it means. This is actually somewhat fascinating. The level of almost like guild-esque. You need to join, you need to be accepted, and you need to prove your craft, and potentially you're not allowed to perform your craft or your trade unless you've been accepted by the broader group. And a way you mark that is by changing your name, which is why like last names exist at all. A smith was a blacksmith, a Fletcher made arrows, and it's like, where do they work? We'll look at their name and we'll tell you where they perform and where they're queens.
And actually, you saying that, I've never thought of it that way, but that's true.
And so there's almost kind of a clandestine thing which I like. I like even more because you can take off your outfit and your makeup and you go, oh, am I a queen? Do I have the secret knowledge? You'll never know.
Well, and the funny part with that actually is one of the, I forget which queen taught me this, but she went, you're doing your job properly if when you're in makeup, your phone can't recognize you.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love that. Yeah, great. Because I take my glasses off and my phone's like, I know who you are, shut up. Take me briefly, and I imagine there's a lot of it, so we can do super briefly, the history of drag. So we've always had homosexual people, we've always had people that enjoyed dressing in clothes that society reserved for the opposite gender of that person. But drag is like a performance and a celebration, kind of a comedy, political satire up on stage. When did that first be a thing?
So, to my knowledge, drag actually started with trans women who could not be themselves. Drag did not start out as a stage production. Over time, it used to be secret, where you had to, like we said with the houses, you had to know somebody in order to get into the game. And I can't talk for the world. I know in St. Louis, drag started primarily about 50 to 70 years ago. Back then you had like maybe one or two gay bars, even in California, because I was talking to somebody from Cali. So the first drag queen it looks like is from the 1860s, Victorian England. But then it came over to the US in the 1890s. When you think of drag, you think of what's called modern drag. Back in the 1800s, ballroom was just where you meet up, there's a theme, and you had to follow that theme in order to walk on the floor. Like, have you seen the show Pose? It is a very excellent, down-to-earth description of what ballroom looks like.
So when you say walk the floor, as in to perform or to show off your outfits and your makeup?
So both. So walking the floor was basically...
Is there like a drag index I can look up for phrases? A drag vocabulary? There's bound to be a drag vocabulary book, right?
To be honest, I don't know.
It's probably all a big secret.
I just learned via knowing queens and kings. But like even now, when we say walk the floor in modern drag, it's different than ballroom. In ballroom, there's a legitimate floor that is designated, and when you quote unquote walk with your house, which is pretty much you strut your stuff in your outfit. For us, walking the floor is actually not really used as much, but it can mean getting on stage and performing, or just being there. Because my nickname from the older queens is Miss Thang. Well, I've got two nicknames. I have Miss Thang, and then I have Betty Ford, because I have a 70s pantsuit. And when I met Akasha Royale, who was the previous Miss Gay Missouri America, she looked at me, and I think I was like 6 months into drag, and she's like, you look like Betty Ford. That's your new nickname.
The inflection I hear from you is I wouldn't know if someone was insulting me or not.
Pretty
like
much.
It's almost this deep. It's sort of mystical. It's feminine in the way that like high school girls will be horrible to each other, But then there's a different level again because it's more than just I grew up being a girl. It's like I've adopted and sharpened
Oh
this
yes.
nuance.
Oh yes. It's even worse. Sometimes you can tell if a queen's joking if you're friends with them. But there are definitely queens that I've met who were kind of standoffish at first, to where I was like, "Are you reading me to filth, or are you just sarcastic as hell?" Um,
You can actually. I've just learned this right now. You can Google drag terminology, and this is good because I can use it to keep up with what you're saying.
oh, good, good, good.
It's got like you can click on the word and it comes up with the definitions. This is brilliant. I'm obviously not the first person to have this problem. Some of it's just regular words spelled incorrectly. Like that's not how you spell work. But yeah, here we are. Hunty? That sounds rude. Hey, that is rude.
Oh, Hunty,
Yeah,
Hunty,
yeah.
that
It's a
can be
mix up of
rude.
the word honey and the
Um,
Australian word for hello. What's a kiki?
oh yeah, true. Oh, feeling your kiki, so that's like being in your feelings.
It's a fun definition for the phrase chicken cutlet that I didn't appreciate. This is good fun. I love learning new words, even if they're just
Oh Lord.
what does gag mean? But then the words I
Well,
think
thank
will
God.
be rude, like gag, seems to be just another word for speechless.
Oh, like I'm gagged. Well, yeah. Well, like gagged is actually not bad.
Seems quite positive. Next time
That's
someone tells me they're
actually.
gagging, I'll be like, thanks, I put a lot of work into this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's like LOL in the drag community is like, oh, I'm so gagged at that. But I was at a bar one night with this queen, and she's got her act together. She's actually one of my mentors. She looked at me, and when I say read the filth, this is literally a great example of it. She looks at me and she literally looks me up and down with her finger like this, and goes, "Look at you, look at me. You look like shit. Go home and fix it." Verbatim what she said. You look like shit. Go home and fix it. And honestly,
How did you take the feedback?
it
How did you
hurt.
respond to that feedback?
Honestly, I looked at her and I was like, okay, I mean, at least you're being honest with me, but damn.
Is it common to get supportive compliments? Like, hey, really great job, or is it just you're doing well because nobody fucking says anything?
Kind of both. So, you know you're doing well when people look at you and they're like, okay, I think you're ready.
So what's it like? What's it like starting out? So you're going about your perfectly normal life as a child, and you're just interested in just the flamboyance of the whole thing, the fascination of the outfits and the makeup. Because I think it would be incorrect. It's more than just dressing as a woman if you're going to be a drag queen, because the
Right.
extraordinary majority of women don't dress like that. There's far more to it. There's a real flamboyance in production. Does it start from like a stage thing, like you're interested in stage productions and the
Well,
outfits they wear in opera?
so and most of the queens that I know of, we're all theater kids. Most of us are
You're
ex
all
theater kids
thespians.
who, yes, we're all pain in the asses when it comes to musicals. Not all, but so like for me, I was always the kid who watched musicals instead of hanging out with my friends. Um, Partly because my friends were all boring. Not really, but kind of.
They're playing football and you're
Um,
watching Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, like for me, my first musical that I ever saw was Oliver Twist. And then when I was like 13, I saw Les Miserables, and I was enthralled with Les Mis until I saw Rent at the end of my senior year. And I'm like, you know what? Rent's my favorite. In fact, my drag name comes from musicals. Um, I didn't know about drag until I saw the musical Everybody's Talking About Jamie, which is about a real queen.
It sounds like drag is much more of a there's much more of a culture involved, and it seems like it's a shared culture that's not relevant to where your family comes from and how you were raised. There's this separate participatory drag culture. But then would say there's an opportunity to go cosplaying and dress up as your favorite whatever anime character, movie character. Does the drag community really get in on that because it's just an opportunity to dress up and be wonderful? Or is it like there's some people that are like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yes.
whoa, I'll put on petticoats and heels. I'm not dressing up as Pikachu. Don't be ridiculous.
Well, so each queen has their own thing. Um, One of the things that I was always taught, and part of it's because I'm a pageant queen, is anything you do, you have to elevate. Whether that means you have huge earrings that go down to here. Um, but I know queens who I'm very good friends with who will get on stage and be like, that's not my style. And that's also part of drag kings and androgynous. They get on stage and some of them are queens that have beards. Some of them, like my best friend Vanity, he doesn't. Ian does not get up on stage with a huge wig and shit. He gets up on stage and he performs his heart out. Um, like he doesn't wear makeup all that often. Whereas most queens and kings do. Like my dad, Justin Sider, he don't wear makeup. He's a trans man. He'll get on stage and be like, "Screw makeup, I'm me."
And in those instances, it's about the performance, so it's going to be the singing or whatever else that they're going to do.
So, well, and like with Justin, he gets up and he has a beard that he glues on. So you can tell he looks like a man. But when I say makeup, there's some queens or some kings, like my drag brother Gabe, who'll get up on stage and he'll do makeup all across his face. And a lot of the older queens, mainly older queens, will look at that and go, good, you have makeup. You're worthy. When they look at queens or kings that don't wear makeup, they're like, you can't be a king or you can't be a queen without it. My opinion is that's bullshit. All drag is valid. Now, not all drag is good.
Yeah, being valid and good, it's
I'm
separate
gonna
things. Yeah.
be honest. Well, but because here's the thing. There's a lot of people who can get into drag, and you wouldn't recognize that they're not women, and that they're not men dressed up. Um, and that's hard. Like even for me, I have more of a feminine look with my makeup, to where when I'm in drag, you can tell. Oh yeah, that's a woman. I've been told by several women they're like, I would not recognize you as a man. Whether that's true or not, who knows?
I can't trust any of these queens, man. Obviously, when you're in drag, you're looking to get into drag, and then you do get into drag. There's obviously going to be some nervousness, an awful lot of being self-critical, because it's literally you're dressing yourself up to perform. And then you get all sorts of feedback, some valid, some rubbish. You're going to take things to heart that you didn't need to, but maybe you were just too young and didn't have the skills to go, that's bullshit, I'm not going to let it take up space in my brain. How have the things you've learned and experienced through drag helped you in your life outside of drag?
That's actually a really, really good question. Um, so, as Joe, I am normally timid. I'm normally not a. I'm an extrovert, but I'm not the one that'll speak up. And that's actually something Jade's commented to me on, because I have no self confidence as Joe. I never have. But when I started drag, one of the things they always said to me was fake it till you make it. And I like that, but I hate it now looking back, because I on my journey it's been very much I've met people who have been mentors, and part of being a drag family is to help you both on and off stage. Um, like my drag father and I talk all the time, and he's helped me with dealing with my personal issues, my scoliosis, my PTSD. In fact, outside of drag, it's helped my PTSD because I then realized through drag that I'm non-binary as a person, which basically just means that you are both male and female. But I present and I live as a male, and for drag, I perform as my female side. Is the best way to describe that. But I mean, for me, it's helped mainly with my confidence and just being okay with being me, not being ashamed of who I am.
That's awesome. And powerful stuff too, yeah? Because there's people that go through life struggling and maybe they have an experience in their 30s or 40s and then they go, oh, I feel so different. So it's so powerful to be able to have experiences that help you be comfortable with being who you are. What's your plans? What are you doing now in drag, and what are your plans for the future?
Well, so right now, I'm getting bookings all across Missouri. I actually have North Carolina bookings as well, but I'm slowly working towards being able to travel across the U.S. But what that first means is I have to become Miss Gay Missouri America, and so I'm going back for Miss Metro this year, and Miss Missouri, and I've already told Jade and a few other queens. If I don't make it at Metro, I'm going for St. Louis. If I don't make it for St. Louis, I'm going to Columbia, which is actually my hometown. And I'm gonna get a crown and bring a crown home, which is harder than it seems.
It doesn't sound easy. It sounds like it's pretty cutthroat at the best of times.
For pageant systems, we always call it a sisterhood. It being my very first time, and I didn't have $7,000 to drop on one pageant. Like, this was donated to me, and this is what we call a pageant wig. These are like $350 a pop. Certain queens will make them. I think this one was $150. But I got it for free. Oh shit. I'll pick that up in a second. So this was my certification when I became first alternate for Miss Metro.
I don't know what that means. Explain that to me.
So Miss Missouri Metropolitan America is a prelim. So basically you go to a prelim in order to get to a state pageant. And then from the state pageant you go national. Miss Gay Metro is the first prelim of the year. And when you go to compete, you compete in evening gown, talent, question and answer, and male interview. And your scores are accumulated in order to do first, so crowned queen, which is first place, first alternate, which is basically second place. The queen who is crowned cannot fulfill her duties. Then the first alternate becomes the queen and is crowned that year, which has happened. Honestly, I don't think it's happened for Metro, to my knowledge. I know it's happened for Missouri, where people had to step down. It's very rare because if you step down, you get a 3-year suspension from the pageant system. But like when I say crowned, this is Erica Fox, who was Miss Gay Missouri America 2009, and this is actually signed by her. But like each of us get the same crown. What's your favorite type of music?
God, it changes pretty regularly. It's probably some kind of techno. Although I'm getting back into Chili Peppers lately. Why? I'll listen to more or less everything. Maybe not Queen
Well,
music. It depends what
so
it like. If I have to listen to a lot of Taylor Swift, I'm going to have mixed feelings.
oh god, kill me. The fact that you bring Taylor Swift on the second you like Queen music, you're not wrong. But
I think previous
so
generation it
many
was.
Queens.
I remember hearing a thing that of Cher, and she was making a joke that everyone there were so many queens doing Cher that people just thought Cher was a
Oh,
man.
Cher? Oh, pardon you. Oh, my very first song I ever did in drag was "Turn Back Time" by Cher. Um, what's funny, and actually that so each queen that I know always remembers their first song, even if they've been in the industry for 50 years. They'll be like, "Oh, I know my first song. I did this way back then." Which I'm trying to get Jade to do a round where we all do our very first song in drag, and she's like, "Dude, my first song was 30 plus years ago. I ain't doing that shit." I'm like, "Well, it was the
It'd probably
70s
be
and
a banger.
80s,
Like it'd probably be
so
an
I
absolute
mean,
classic.
because like some of the songs that we talk about as queens, like Cher or Madonna, like some of these queens don't even know early 2000s music.
I feel like if there's a subculture that's going to be really up with music, it would be the drag community.
You'd think, I mean, like, you know Dolly Parton, right? So I performed 9 to 5.
Excellent. I sing that song while making coffee, albeit badly.
Oh, I love that song. I've only performed it twice because the second time I had a queen look at me and go, "Don't ever perform that again." Well, and I'm very much a musical queen, so Rose's Turn I performed so many times.
I admittedly only saw Gypsy quite recently. I was vaguely aware of the song, vaguely, but then I went, oh, there's the context, there's the song. I would imagine I've seen Everything's Coming Up Roses performed like in bits and pieces, snippets of the song, which is why I knew it. More in drag than in any other kind of pop culture, like whatever, something on the news, something on TV, a drag queen in a movie, which the film's not about the drag, it's just a drag show. That's the song they're singing. I feel like that'd be like the default Queen song. Like sing this song and sing a Cher song, and that's like welcome. Here's your starter pack. Thanks for becoming a member of the Queen community. Here's your onboarding.
That okay? That's gonna be a running joke now.
Cher song, Gypsy song. Like there you go. How to do makeup with male coloured skin and oil. And like off you go.
Have you ever seen a guy do makeup?
Not really. I think I've seen you do it briefly on Twitch. It's my
So
understanding because
how
my
about
partner, she's extremely good with makeup. She used to sell a lot of makeup and do a lot with it. So she's just got this
a makeup
this.
artist?
Sorry.
Is she a makeup artist?
No, she's just really good at it and used to work for some of the big makeup brands. And she's interested in it. She's got a phenomenal amount of makeup. I'm sure she uses all of it, and it's all very important. Yeah, she just has this knowledge of makeup on things. I went to one of the big like makeup chains a couple of Christmases ago to get her daughters some stuff for Christmas, and yeah, it's the just the safe bet. Just it's the dad vibe. I'm gonna go to the shop I know they like. I'm gonna get them a gift voucher for the shop, and they're gonna appreciate it because it's a gift they're gonna use. And to just turn up in these places, you've got women done up to the nines, you've got men done up to the nines. Everyone's fantastic. Everyone's got some degree of makeup on that works there. And I turn up and I'm like, hey, I'd like to get a gift voucher, thanks. They're like, sure, how much? And I go, yeah, this. And they go, do they have a profile with us? And I'm like,
Oh Lord.
I want to get a gift voucher? So, have they shopped here before? I said, yes, That's why I'm coming to get the... Like, stop coming at me with questions about stuff. And, like, what's their skin type? Like, dermis? Like, it's on the outside of their body? What do you want me to say? Like, it's not makeup for a tongue. What do you want?
Well, and see, that was actually when I first started getting my makeup. I didn't know my skin color and skin type, and I went to Ulta Beauty because that's where I shop a lot. Because Sephora is way too expensive, and I can't use cheap makeup, or I can't use like a lot of cheap makeup because it breaks out my face. But like that's how I learned that makeup is made differently based on your face structure and skin type.
And, like, the amount of oil you're going to get?
I kid you not. There's a running joke because when I first started drag, like I said, I didn't know my makeup. Well, being autistic, I can't learn off videos. And this is a prime example because some white guys have a blue tint to their face. I didn't realize that I didn't, apparently. So before they put on their main foundation, they put on a darker color, a darker foundation. Hence, when I first started, I was underpainting. Well, one night I was underpainting and I thought this was normal of doing a very dark foundation and then a lighter foundation. I was at Gray Fox, which is a mainly African American bar, and my friend Tiffany, who's a black queen, comes up, looks at me in the mirror, and goes, "Why the hell do you have blackface on?" And I look at her and I'm like, "I don't. I'm underpainting." And her and Venus both look at me.
Of all the places to come across as accidentally being really racist, you have to do it amongst queens who are just probably going to lynch you.
Oh God, you should have seen her face because she's like, "Bitch, what the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, you guys told me to look at a tutorial, and this is what they said." And they looked at me, and with the like most astonished faces, were like, "You did not, you done fucked up." Tiffany, right after she saw that, was like, "Here's the foundation you're gonna use. Don't ever do that shit again."
Oh, excellent.
And then ever since then, I've been fine.
In fairness, that's the kind of mistake I'd probably make if I was trying to do drag. Because I'd be like, I have no idea, straight to YouTube. That's exactly where I'm going to learn everything. And I'm like, yeah, I done fucked up.
Well, and that's the problem. Most of the queens, when I first started, were like, all you have to do is watch YouTube. Well, YouTube doesn't show you your own face. It shows you different techniques, like to do with your eyes.
Well, sure, and your selfie cam is not going to show you your skin tone. It's actually going to change your skin tone to look better in selfies.
Exactly.
In some instances, it will even touch up your makeup. So you'll be like, how does my makeup look? And it's like, we just tidied it up so you don't know what you look like because we figured you were trying to take a picture rather than use it as a mirror. What's your favourite part about being a drag queen? What's the best bit?
Honestly, it's getting to meet people and interact. I mean, I've made some of my greatest friends through drag. And I've learned so much about myself as a person through drag. To the point that now, when people talk about like their life story and their journey, I used to be ashamed of who I was, and I spent years trying to find who I was or who I am. And it's through drag that I actually found who I am. I found a quote-unquote family who accepts me for who I am. But I mean, the interaction, the meeting people, I think that's my favorite thing.
That's awesome. What's your favourite outfit?
Oh, shoot.
I don't get to ask this. My other podcasts are about video games. What's your favourite outfit? They're like jeans? What?
Well, so my favorite outfit is a blue full-length dress. I'm actually in the process of stoning it but it has sequins going all the way down. I use that dress for crowning and now just pageants. But that was one of my very first dresses. I wore that with blue heels and big blue earrings. Actually, I need to make sure my ears didn't close up last night.
God, I don't know what that means. Is that as bad as it sounds? Your ears are pierced and they're slowly healing up, so you're just gonna stab yourself in the head and.
So basically, if your ears close up, that means the hole is gone. So you have to take a needle again and go right where the hole was and pop it through.
That sounds.
And it's
awesome.
As painful as it sounds.
Yeah, cool. Where can people find more about you?
So I have a Facebook page under Angel CM Sedique. I also that's primarily where I get my business. So if anybody's looking to book, anybody just wants to chat, I always have my DMs open. I'm also on TikTok as Joe Creasel. I sometimes post some of my performances on TikTok. Primarily, you'll see them posted on Facebook. I think one thing that I want to leave is actually some words from Akasha Royale. So when I went from Missouri, of course, I didn't become the 50th Miss Gay Missouri. Vivian Versace did, and she earned it. I'm actually very proud of her. But Akasha gave each of us this letter, and it says, "Dear 50th Miss Gay Missouri America, there are times in our life that we question all the movements that got us to this point. Within pageantry, we can easily overanalyze each meticulous detail in rapid succession to find what was the propelling moment. Was it a crown? Was it the first time? Was it a prior placement? Was it assistance of a forever? Was it another state win? Was it leading a show? Being the mother of a house? Was it the fans? The number of posts you made? The song you selected? The hours you spent in practice? The gown that was worn? The stones that you put on? The vendors that you used? Or the photographer that you picked? Or team that you assembled? Whichever combination of these facts got you to this point in your life, be thankful for every single one of them. I myself have found more joy in overcoming self-doubt and disappointing moments. Those moments in my life that have been painful have led me to some of the most incredible times that I've gotten to share with others. They have made me not only a stronger person, but a wiser person. Lean into all you are and celebrate every aspect of yourself that makes you truly unique. There is only one you. As always, be you." Doing the people's work, Akasha Royale, 49th Miss Gay Missouri America. The letter she wrote, I think, embodies what it truly means to be a drag queen, at least on the point of being a pageant queen. Because it is, even without pageants, you are who you are. You have to find yourself. But all of those reasons are all moments that you think of and you remember. Like I will forever remember getting on the stage for state, freaking out, then coming off that stage and having these queens look at me and go, "Don't change that." And that was the first time that I had higher level queens look at me and go, "You killed it out there. Keep going."